Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Deep Conversations Only. Today, we have with us a 23-year-old, multi passionate Miss Aparna Khair, who is a content creator and she runs a blog, an Instagram page, a YouTube channel, and an e business by the name Save Ourselves. And she creates content about productivity, organization, bullet journaling, and all the good stuff. So, welcome, Aparna. It's a pleasure having you. And tell me that, what is the inspiration behind Save Ourselves?
Hi. So first of all, thank you for having me here. I'm really honored to be on a podcast episode. It's my first time actually. And okay, so talking about Save Ourselves, the inspiration was that I just wanted an outlet for me to talk about the things which had been going in my mind. And it started out as like a random blog on Blogger on Blogspot, and I would just I would ramble on all about anything and everything that bothered me or that could come under the umbrella of Save Ourselves. So that time started out to be as a very like a very world changing vision. Like, I want to make this world a better place, and all of the naive thoughts that you have when you're a 16-year-old kid. So that's what I had back then when I started. And it was very inconsistent then, and it started out as a blog, and I didn't really have a vision for it. But then a couple of years back, I actually sat down and tried to make something out of that. And that's when the website came into picture, and I started my YouTube channel a month later, and that's when the whole content creation part of it really began actually.
So you are making a difference, and it's not a dreamy thought at all, because when I was going through your content, the one thing that really struck me was an urgency to organize my life. I was like, oh my god, I want to organize just the way she has done, because everything is so sorted. And I was like, because I love organization, it is a therapy for me. And when I was watching your videos, I could understand that organization and mindful living is a therapy for you too, because the way you shot your videos and the way you edited them, everything was super organized, and I could sense that. So you know it is not like it is a dream. You are creating a positive change in the world. And on that note, I also want to ask you that you started your journey in the year 2016, so it has been a long time. So what has been your key learnings, and how have you when you look back, how do you see yourself growing over these 5 years?
Right. So, as I said, actually, when I started out with my blog, like I said, I didn't have like a picture in mind about what I wanted to make out of it. It would just be like random ramblings that I would make a blog post about and then publish, and not really thinking about what is the kind of content I am looking to create. And there was no curation behind it, which has evolved over the years, and now it's more of a curated content. Now I would actually take a pause and look at the color palette that I'm kind of trying to use, or the shots that I'm trying to film, or the kind of topics that I'm choosing that my audience can relate with, and the kind of topics that actually excite me and are helpful to me in the first place. And I think Save Ourselves, even with its name, has started with a kind of a selfish motive to, because it's been the solution has always been like for me. So whatever topic I am going to like write a blog post about or make a video about, it is something that's been bothering me or has been a problem for me in the first place. So if I'm
Yes.
making a blog post on how to be productive, that means you can assume that I have had this problem before, and these are the solutions that I came across, and now I'm trying to put those together in a blog post or a video, and then try to communicate with my audience so that at least one person can get benefited from that. And that has been my aim. And I think over the years, I've picked up a few skills along the way. And architecture has been a very important aspect in terms of that, because it gave me access to a lot of other allied skills. So, for example, I've noticed that my graphic designing skills have improved over the years, or like even practicing writing along all of these years through all of these blog posts have made me a better writer. And so all
Yes.
of these things I've picked up on. And in the first place, I'm a big like YouTube watcher, so I view a lot of YouTube videos, and that's I think where the idea to create my own YouTube channel came into the first place, because I had already consumed a lot of it and I had enough consumption to make something out of it. So these
Yes.
are a few tricks and tips that I've I think picked up over the years.
Something which I really resonate with you is what you said about if I'm creating content about something. I had that problem in the first place because I think people, when we give tips, people just assume that our life is very sorted, and they just just forget about the fact that the way we've been able to create this content, or this have been able to present this information, is because we've struggled with this for a long period of time. And that's how you really keep evolving, and that's how you keep solving your own problems and help out people by any chance, if whatever things that have worked for you help someone else. So that's such a good point, because a lot of us take, like, these days a lot of people want to start their own YouTube channel or start their Instagram page, but if there's one inhibition that is holding them back, is uh, you know what is it that I can share which people don't already know, right? This is something which a lot of people I have heard about, and something which I always tell them is, the presentation with which you present your content will be different, and you will always find people who will love the way you present that content. And there's one thing to watch content, the other thing to apply content and then share it with people. So in the process of application, you always learn so many different things, so many new things, which you probably have not learned just by watching the YouTube video, right? The inspiration may have come from the YouTube video, definitely, but then the whole process of you actually doing it and seeing for yourself if it works or not, that adds a lot of value. And I think that's why YouTube makes a lot of sense, because it is your own journey. And I'm so glad that you started that page. And my next question to you would be that over a period of time, you've started multiple things, and I'm sure that it has been you've been doing all of this single-handedly. So how do you organize all of this? And along with your college, you started, and just maintaining all these things is a little tough. So what do you do on a regular basis to make sure that your life is sorted?
It's a question that I've still not found the right answer to. Like, it's a evolving process all the time, because after a few months you're getting into new things. Like, so if it's college, you're gonna start a new year after, like, you're gonna start a new semester, or you're gonna have your finals week. And now after I've graduated, I've started working. So like, there are always gonna be new things that come up, which are going to stand in the way of your content creation process. So it is
Yes.
always something that I have to find time for and make time for. And so I still sometimes struggle with that, where, like, for example, last week I was unable to make a video because this it was just too busy for me to actually carve out time for it. But then
Yes.
the trick is to not be so hard on yourself, to so that it doesn't affect the future content creation process. And
Yes.
also find the balance between pushing through and laying back. So
Yes.
this week I was almost on the verge of like not making another video, but I was like, I don't want to go 2 weeks without a video, because it'll make me feel bad more than the audience. Like, maybe no one's even expecting on the other end, but it's not about them. In the end, it's about,
Yeah.
I didn't make a video and I want to feel good about making one. So
Yes.
I found out time and I moved a couple of things around, and it's just about, I think, prioritizing and staying up a few more hours than you probably would have, or just like finding those pockets in between your schedule where you can, crunch a filming session or an editing session, and just
Yes.
getting things done in between. And if you over the time find a streamlined process that works for you, it's better. Like, obviously you do find a couple of things that keep working for you. For example, I found a few software tools and organization tools that have helped me streamline my process, which have like really cut down on the time that I need to create a full video. So which is why I
Yes.
can afford to create my video in these little pockets and chunks of time that I find in between my schedule. So these are the things that I've learned along, which have helped me in my content creation process. But I'll still say that it's like a ever evolving thing. You always kind of have to keep on adding new
Yeah.
lessons to the content creation process.
Yes, and I love the fact that you spoke about, if I will go not creating videos for 2 weeks, it will make me feel bad. Because just yesterday, I was having this conversation with one of the persons that is enrolled in my program, and I was telling him that every time you say yourself that I'm going to do this and you don't do it, you just keep pushing down your confidence levels on yourself, and that is the worst thing that you can do, right? Because if you've made a promise to yourself, stick to it, because otherwise it will just by the end of 1 year, you will lose so much confidence that you will not even make goals, because you will be like, no, I don't even I don't have the strength to actually pursue my goals, so let me not make it at all, right? So it is very important to just stand by your own words and stand by your own commitments, no matter if anyone is watching you or not. And I think that is also one of the toughest parts of YouTube and content creation in general, because there's nobody else who is going to make sure that you do whatever you have to do or you ought to do. It's just you making the goals and you chasing them, and that creates a little bit of need for discipline. And you spoke about that you found certain tools and certain apps that helps you cut down on the time that you would have probably, or you would have taken if you would have not find these tools. So can you talk about those tools?
Yeah. So one of my greatest discoveries like has been bullet journaling, of course, and like bullet journaling has been like the solution to most of the problems I've had in my life. And what I realized was it was just everything was sorted, but it was just getting very mixed up in my brain, and it didn't have a proper place to be laid down in specific manners. And bullet journaling has in fact solved all of those issues because it's like the perfect planning tool and organization tool along with a lot of scope for brainstorming, and you can basically customize it to your needs. So let's say if you have 5 things going on at a time, it will give you that convenience to actually sort all those 5 things out. But if you have like one very laid back even vacation that you have to plan, it will still cater to those needs. So it's been a very it has been a tool that has basically grown with me, which is why it is I've been bullet journaling. This is my third year of bullet journaling, and it still is very relevant to me because it has been growing with me. And another
Yes.
thing that I specifically use for save ourselves is an app called Notion. And Notion basically lets you organize like everything and anything, and there's a lot of data. So Notion is like all of the Microsoft Office tools put in one. So it is Word
Yes.
also, it is Excel also, it's taking care of all of your note taking and scheduling and all of that. So on Notion, I have a Save Ourselves content creation plan where I'll have all of my scripts and all of the due dates and when everything has to go and what stage is my video at, is it being edited or is it being filmed or all of those things, which is why I have a lot of content planned out already. So in case I don't have any ideas for that week, I can go back to my Notion page and refer to that. So
Yes.
that has really helped streamline my process and cut down on the actual time that I need to spend thinking and doing all of those little things that are really time wasters. I've just been
Yeah.
able to put these things in Notion and in my bullet journal, and also Google Calendar to help me sort out my schedule to a great extent,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
then helped my content creation process.
I was watching one of your videos on bullet journaling, and you spoke something really nice. You spoke about how a journal is like a second brain, right? And it just frees up your mind a lot for the good stuff, and you're not carrying everything in your head. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because I usually brain dump everything in my journal, and the reason is this: because if I don't do it, I will just keep thinking about it, and I will not have the time and the space and the energy to actually be inspired for something else, because all the information that I've been carrying takes a lot of space, right? And it was fascinating to know that somebody else feels that way too, and the fact that our brain has a limited amount of memory, maybe active memory, right? And if you just keep a journal and you just keep putting everything that you don't want at this moment but eventually you would want, it makes the process and your mind like really sorted. And I think that way journaling helps a lot. And apart from that, I want to ask you that what are some of the key benefits, like very tangible benefits with respect to mental health, that you've observed once you started journaling 3 years back?
Okay, so there are two types of journaling that I do. One is my bullet journal, which is like my planner organization, like all of my life is basically handled by the bullet journal. And there is my journal, which is like a long format journaling where you write down about your day or vent out your feelings and emotions. And that handles most of my mental health, mental well being part. But at the same time, I think because all of your brain gets dumped on paper in the bullet journal, it actually frees up a lot of memory, that, like you said. There's this quote I had heard which really resonated with me. I don't know who said it, but what they said was, don't, your brain is not meant for storing things, it is meant for thinking. And that
Yes.
really resonated with me because I realized that I was using up like unnecessary space. And it's like overloading your phone with data where it can't, where the processing will get slow eventually if you're overloading it and there's no more
Yes.
space left. I think if we apply the same principle to our brains, they can function a lot more smoother with a lot less stress and anxiety. So I think
Yes.
journaling as well as bullet journaling for me go hand in hand. They're like a non-negotiable part of my routine. And if for a day or two I skip it, it has a lot of like I can notice the increasing level in my stress, or like even if it's not a stressful day, even if I've had a very laid back day, I can still find myself being a little unorganized and I can't really think about what is the next thing I'm supposed to do. But once you've planned it out or written it down in the morning, it's very clear, you're like good to go. And I think this is like a very natural condition that we have as humans, because when we are in school, we have been taught to have like a fixed routine and this is what you do after it. So when you're an adult and you are in charge of your own schedule, making one is just more beneficial than not making one, being like anxious all the time and thinking about
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do. And when
Yes.
I make a list or a plan for the day, it's just like my screen time is going to be way less. I'm going
Yes.
to spend a lot of like, I'm going to spend a lot less time, in between things and scrolling on my phone or like watching Netflix in between the tasks that I have to do. And it's just better for me to transition from tasks to like one task to the other when I
Another.
know
Yes.
all of the things that I have to do in the day. So I
Yes.
think those are the benefits that I've noticed so far.
Yes, and I absolutely resonate with what you said about, being stressful, because what happens is that, the tasks are not such big, like, but the whole process of processing and organizing right on that day, on the days you have to perform those tasks, makes you feel so anxious because you don't want to get into that process, and you know that it is going to take you a while to just figure out things and the order of how things must happen. So I think we just put our body and mind through unnecessary stress, which we can definitely avoid if we just plan a little better. And as you said, that we've been conditioned in a way to have a structured routine, and I think that works for most of us. Like, I personally have realized that when I don't have a routine, I'm all over the place, and I just out of that anxiousness, I probably pick up my phone and start scrolling. I don't want to scroll. There's no reason for it. I would have not done it otherwise, but just because I'm anxious about the tasks that I have to do, and I have not everything planned, I just delay it further. I don't know how does that even make sense, but you just tend to delay it further because you just don't want to process so much of information and so much of different tasks all at once. So I think organization makes a lot of sense. So would you take us through what your organization process look like if you can just tell us and we will imagine the process. Like, how do you manage your bullet? I'm sure there are a lot of videos, guys, on Aparna's channel, which through which she takes you through the organization process. But I'm just trying to give you an overview. Yeah.
So you're asking about the organization
Yeah.
for in my bullet journal. Okay.
Yeah.
So I Yeah, so more or less, I follow the method which was created by Ryder Carroll, who was like the creator of the bullet journal method. And so I just finished reading the book that he's written on it, and I more or less tried to follow the method that he has proposed because it is like the most beneficial way of using it. But then again, he like encourages you to customize it according to what your life actually looks like, because everyone's is going to be different in the end. So what I do is at the beginning of my bullet journal, I have like a yearly overview, which is called a future log, and that holds all of your like yearly commitments or the major events that you have during the year. So you can plan it beforehand or as and when they come. So that'll be like the vacations that you take or some important college deadlines or work things that you have, or like just like life events. And then you have a few goals. I write down a few goals for every year, and this year I also made like a wish list. So these were not goals that I necessarily wanted to accomplish, but it would be really great if they happened. So it was a way of trying to manifest those things in my life. And then I put in a few pages where I'll track all of the books that I read or movies or TV shows that I watch, because I've realized that when I've written them down in one place, it's just easier for me to recommend to people. Because
Yeah.
when someone asks me what shows do I want to watch, I like nothing comes to mind, but then I can just flip through my bullet journal and everything's written down. And it's
Yeah.
also a great way to look back at your life. So if you pick up my bullet journal from 2018, you'll know what kind of person Aparna was in 2018, and that's just really fun to know what kind of shows she was watching and what books she read.
Yes.
So these are the things that like make up my yearly tracking and goals and planning thing. And then I get into each month where I'll have like a monthly goals page and maybe a few affirmations that I'll write down for every month, because I try to set like a theme or like a word. I choose maybe a word or a theme for that month where I'll focus on that aspect. So for example, for September, I'm trying to be a little more active in terms of like my physical health and working out and all of that, but also in terms of being more alert and mentally active and trying to do more things and being a little more present, so in an overall sense. So that is a theme that I would take up in my bullet journal for the month, and then I would make goals according to that. And then I have like a monthly calendar where I can just note down. So for example, on today's date, I would write down that I have to record a podcast with you, so that would be in my monthly calendar. That is just like an overview. And then I have a gratitude log where I write down one thing that I'm grateful for the day. And that is just immensely improve my outlook on life, because I've been doing that for a few months now. And after a few months, you really start to, see the benefits. It's very subtle and very intangible, but it's
Yes.
very like the experiential thing. But you
Yes.
start to notice it. And I really started to notice that, and I'm very grateful for my gratitude log. And then I have my habit trackers and my health trackers. So those are like my non-negotiables. Like there will be some habits that I have to track, and a few aspects of my health, like my sleep or how I was feeling overall physically that day, that I'll keep a track of. And I add a few spreads depending on what my mood is for that month. So if I'm planning to listen to a lot of new music, I'll make a spread for that, or like maybe season specific or something, whichever like spontaneous spreads I'll add to it. And then later on is just my daily log, so my to-do list for the day and as and when the days goes, and brain dumping and all of that. So that's like my flow in my bullet journal.
When you were speaking about this, I realized that how a bullet journal is like an extension of your own personality, right? Because it just reflects back everything that you stand for and everything that you've been up to, and it's such a nice way to actually go back and just see, because it's a nice way to reflect on how much you've grown as a person and what are the things that you've learned, and just to have that overall perspective. And as you spoke about gratitude journal, it is subtle but it makes a huge difference, because and it makes a difference in your tough times. You would probably not realize that what your gratitude journal has done to you in your like good days, but on the days when you feel really bad and you have trained your mind enough to actually look through the goodness even in that bad day, is when you realize that, oh my god, it has really paid me, right? So all these small habits, I think, make a huge difference, and the fact that you can all uh, track them through the concept of bullet journaling, and just create something which is so unique to yourself. So for example, I have never seen a single video of bullet journaling. Somehow, I don't know why, right? But I have been doing this for myself for a long period of time without even knowing the concept of bullet journaling, because I just happen to be this person who loves creating her own timetable since childhood, and just tracking everything down and sticking to a routine and all of that. And I have a planner, right? And it has everything. Like, I have Saloni Srivastav's planner, if you know her, right? And she creates amazing planners. It has everything that you would require, from meal planning to shows and movies and your monthly watch list and everything, just about everything. But for some reason, I just still can't write in that. I just have to make my own pages, and I just have to create something of my own and stick to that. So I think that way bullet journaling is so helpful, because gives you it gives you a little bit of control about how your life will progress. Of course, there's no control, as we can see already in the pandemic, but guys, still, it just gives you a fair idea about how you want to navigate your life irrespective of what's happening. And I think that's a good way to really keep your mental health as well in check. So yeah, these were some amazing points. So apart from that, I'd like to ask you that you've seen that your productivity has increased. So apart from bullet journaling, are there any tips that you would want to share with the audience with respect to productivity?
Okay, so like a lot of my audience does is not into bullet journaling, and so bullet journaling is not the only tool that I try to create content around. I have created content around using Google Calendar also, which is like another tool or app that I could not live without. Like, I track my 24 hours on my Google Calendar, and I have like separate calendars for tracking my sleep, for tracking like basically if I track my sleep using the sleep calendar. I've made multiple calendars within the Google Calendar itself for my account. So I have a different one for my sleep, a different one for all of my save ourselves related things, a different one for my work. And the difference for calendar is just basically you can switch them on and off, so you know how much work you did during the week, like a visual glance. I don't actually go and look back at all of the stats for it. That's not really a need that I have. But then it's sorted out by colors also, so you know the kind of day you've had based on the colors that you see. Because over time you like associate the colors with the calendars, and you don't really have to keep checking it. And when I look back at my calendar and I see that I've had a very colorful day, that just means that I've participated in all of the aspects of my life, and those are like the productive good days for me, which are kind of the ideal days that I want to live. So when I know that I have very balanced out, where my tasks are not too tiny but not like huge chunks of time as well, and it's a good amount of variety of colors, that just means that I have had a good day, and these are the kind of days that I want to continue having. So for that visual aspect of it, I love using Google Calendar, and it's just very easy for me to schedule those things, because I've learned to use my bullet journal and my Google Calendar hand in hand. Because when you make a to-do list in your bullet journal, but you don't schedule it in your calendar, then you're not holding yourself accountable to actually do the task, and you like that will make you more likely to maybe not do the task or procrastinate on that. But once it's in your calendar, it's just easier for you, even if you're in that procrastinating mode, to just get yourself up and try and do that at least. So I think using all of these tools that go in hand with each other is one of the tips that I would recommend for being more productive. It's not necessary for you to actually use bullet journaling as a tool or use Google Calendar. Whatever works for you is fine, but as long as whatever all the things that you're working go in sync with each other, I think that will help you, break the friction you have between your productivity.
I want to ask you, I'm curious, like what are some of the aspects that you genuinely like track? Like what are the colors of those Google Calendar? Like your mental health, your physical health, and what else?
Yeah, so I think those are like more activity based.
Okay.
So I'll have a learning calendar where I'll track all of the book clubs that I'm a part of, or like any course if I take. So all of that goes under learning. I have a separate calendar for reading because reading is a very important part of my life. So, and I usually, if I'll sit to read, it'll be for at least half an hour or 1 hour. So that is like a calendar worthy time. So I have a separate calendar for that. I have one for working out because I'm very bad at working out and it's like a priority that I want to have in my life. So that is one calendar which I have. Another one is for leisure. So I used to call it entertainment first, but then I changed it to leisure because that started making more sense. And that will take care of all of the time that I'm watching Netflix or scrolling. And I think leisure is just a better word for me to not make it sound bad. Like entertainment kind of can go into a negative connotation if I'm procrastinating that day. But then if I'm not, if it's mindful scrolling on mindful movie that I decide that I want to watch, it goes into leisure and it consists of all the free time that I have, which will
Yeah.
be tracked in my leisure calendar. And then, of course, I have work and save ourselves and sleep and personal will take care of all of the chores or administrative tasks which are basically like related to only me. And then the default calendar that I get, I'll use that to track like lunch, breakfast, dinner, all of the like non-personal basic things that I have. So these are, I think, all the calendars that I currently have.
So I actually read somewhere that if you don't track something, you can't change it because unless you track and you understand the gravity of what you're doing on a regular basis, you're likely to just ignore it and take it very casually. So I think you making it a point to track every hour of your day is a great way to be more mindful about how you are spending your days, and I think I would definitely want to learn that from you. On that note, I wanted to ask you that if there are any tools that are available for your audience that you've created over a period of time to help them organize their lives.
Yeah, in December, like before 2021 began, I wanted to create something that would help people plan better because I know while bullet journaling is like gives you a lot of freedom to make your own planner and you can design it the way you want. A lot of people need a little bit of structure, but at this like which will give them the framework and then they can customize it according to the way they want it to. So I created a few digital planner templates. So they are basically I sell them in the form of PDFs, and you can print it out for yourself, or you can use it digitally as well. So I designed it in a way where you could, if you're a digital person, you could use it on your computer or even your phone. But then if you're a analog person and you like writing on paper with a pen or pencil, then you can print those out and you can print out multiple copies. And I made and use it the way you wanted them to. And I created them in a very minimal kind of style because I like those kind of designs myself. And I know that when something is minimal, you can add something if you want, if you like a lot of other kind of decor or other kind of styles onto it. But a lot of people have like very specific design styles, and if you create a very maximal looking or a very something that has a lot of decor added onto it, it might not resonate with all of the audience.
Absolutely.
So I tried to create a very minimal looking template which had just the basic framework in it. So for example, right now I have yearly planners, like yearly planning templates, which and I tried to relate them with the kind of bullet journaling formats that I have. So I have two kinds of yearly templates. One which lets you track uh, whichever aspect you want throughout the year. So I personally use my own template to track my mood. So I have a mood tracker which I track for like all the 365 days, and it just has the days, like the months laid out for you, and you can just fill it in, write something, or just add a color or code next to it. So that's what I use to track my own mood, and that's what people can use to track something what they want. And the other thing I have is what I use for my future log. So future log is
Yeah.
basically a yearly overview. So I created a similar template where people can have like a wall calendar or something on their desk, where you have all of the date for 2021 laid out for you, and you don't have to keep switching between different calendars. And then I also have some monthly templates in a few different formats, which again have a section for writing down monthly highlights or monthly events, and some boxes for you to plan out your month. And because I track a lot of habits myself, and I wanted to uh, like encourage my audience to track their habits as well, I created a few logs and habit tracker and a reading tracker template as well. So those are the kind of templates that I came up with, and those are all in the catalog of the Save Ourselves shop.
That's great. So, just 4 months left for the new year, and you already have a person who is ready to give you bang on products so that you can make the best use out of your 2022. So, on that note, I'd like to end this podcast and deeply be thankful for all the information and all the wisdom that you've shared. And thank you so much for being on the podcast and helping the audience to organize their lives a little better and make their lives a little more productive. I'm sure it has helped them. And guys, if you want the actual feel of what organization from Aparna's lens worldview looks like, you should definitely go and watch her YouTube channel. You will get the idea of the kind of organization geek that she is, and you would absolutely love her YouTube channel. It is therapy in itself. If you love stationery and if you love organization, both of these things I absolutely love, and I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed her content. So please go watch her YouTube channel and her Instagram page, and also you can buy the templates from her and make the best use out of the last 4 months and achieve all the goals that you want to, right? So thank you so much, Aparna. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me. It was a wonderful conversation that I had with you, and I'm so glad that I could, talk so freely about all of the things that I'm so geeky about. And I just love passing on this knowledge to all the people that find it relatable. And it's
Yes.
nice when you come across people who actually, are willing to geek out on the same stuff as you are. So it was really, I'm really honored to be here.
Thank you.